Good evening. Hey, everybody. Still waiting on Shannon. I don't know. She was having some kind of computer problem. It was updating. She should pop in with us any minute. Hope everybody's doing okay this evening. I see Mike and Joe. Shannon's trying to get here. Um, Tonight, we are going to talk about parasites and big pharma, which, probably will get this demonetized, but I could care less. If YouTube demonetizes. We're going to take it slow and steady. That way I can pay attention to what you guys are talking about. Um, I'm assuming that most people understand what parasites are. Parasites can run anything from microscopic, indeterminable by the human eye, to foot or too long if they're a worm. There are all kind of parasites in our body. There we go. There's Shannon. All right, Shannon. Now, how do we get you up here? Hmm. Well, now how do we get Shannon backstage or on stage? Well, where is Shannon? I know she's here. Well, where is Shannon? Let's see. I don't understand why Shannon is sitting backstage and it's not letting her on. There we go. There's Shannon.
There we go.
Yay! Not too bad for our first time with this software.
Nope.
We're on, Shannon. We got Mike and Joe here with us at the moment live. There may be others to join us, but this is the software I'm going to give you the link to. This one's so much easier than Daniel's. This is
Okay.
kind of like StreamYard. It's like click and go. I
Got
like
it.
this one. That one he's got quite complicated. Can you see the chat on the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yes, Mike, you always have technical issues. I think we're going to name you Little Shannon. And I'm here, everybody. But all right, on to the parasites. Curious Georgia. Hey, girl. Glad to see you here tonight. Talking about parasites. They can be microscopic or they can be in the form of a foot long tapeworm. It just all depends. Hey, Carol, on which ones they are. There's many, many, many kinds of parasites. They come from food, they come from animals, they come from mud puddles. Um, One of the big things I think I'm seeing when I'm doing research on parasites is 50, 80 years ago when our grandparents grew their own fruits and vegetables. When they grew them, they took them off the vine, they eat them, or they preserved them and put them up. We don't do that anymore. We got these large companies growing fruits and vegetables, which is only one way the parasites get in, but they grow them in hot houses and then these things sit there for months. And we all know they're GMO'd so that they don't go bad. But this whole time, you've got the opportunity for parasites to grow in them. And then they're sliced up and put on your McDonald's hamburger. Um, and they're inside of us, literally. Hey, Carol, I see you, girl. Um, and I've seen some of the video footage of what those things look like inside of you, and it's a little alarming. You ever seen any of those videos, Shannon?
Yes.
Yes, it is alarming. If we'll just put it this way, folks. If you've ever seen maggots in real life, that's what's running around inside of you.
It's nightmare fuel,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
Hmm.
it can be rough. Um, I watched one as I was getting ready for this while ago. I was watching. I'm like, oh, I can't watch that anymore. I'll never sleep again. because there are some of them that literally look like little maggots or worms. This was a colonoscopy where they went in with the camera, and with a colonoscopy, they've given you enough liquid dynamite to clean 4 people out. Those things were still there. But on our regular show, we talk a lot about ivermectin and fenbendazole, and there's a couple of others. Now we've had to start questioning whether the ivermectin and the fenbendazole has been messed with. Have you seen that lately, Shannon?
Um, I have very briefly, but I didn't have a chance to get through it.
I've seen a couple of TikToks, and like I said, I've not been down the rabbit hole to see what truth this is, or if it's just something to try and scare us. But that there was nanotechnology in some of the new ivermectin, which is not a good thing. We already know that that little dude that created some computer stuff, he's got gates at his house and everything, that he has already started to spray fresh produce with that mRNA crap. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I watched a nurse earlier who had said that this year alone she had seen 20 small children that had died from that sticker thing, and it knew it was very well related.
I also heard that there's approval for putting it in floss.
Yes, toothpaste and floss.
Floss.
Anything that is commercially prepared or commercially produced for us is fixing to have it in it. I don't think there's going to be too many commercial products that we're going to be able to get away from that have it in it. Because I mean, look what they did with the water with fluoride.
Might just have to go to back to baking soda
Should have
or
been there all
toothpaste.
along,
Yeah.
probably. That and peroxide.
And probiotics.
Yep. One of the things I was looking at when I started looking at this parasite stuff was why does why does the medical field not address it like they should? For the first time last week, I went through Hodgkin's lymphoma back in '08. All that started. It was stage 2. I went through all of that, lost my dad to brain cancer, got a lot of family members that have had cancer. Everybody in our neighborhood was eat up with it. And for the first time last Thursday, I actually had a physician's assistant. In the prior months, they've asked me like, "Why is your blood work looking so good? It's been getting better and better for 6 months." Every month up until this month, when I used the word ivermectin, prior to that, I have literally seen them take their little folder and close it and say, "Okay, we'll see you next month," and out the door they go. They're not going to have a conversation with you about it. But this girl was new. And what are you drinking? Pedialyte?
Electrolyte. I know it looks like Pedialyte. Same concept.
Same concept. It tastes like
Yeah.
watered down Kool-Aid to me. I've never been able to drink it. But when I said something to her about it, instead of, because I say it every month to see what reaction I get, and I know I'm a horrible person for doing that, but I love to see the reaction on people's face when you say it. And she said, "Really?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got to bite her. She's going to listen to me. She's going to listen to me." She said, "You know what? I've seen 2 other people this week with better blood work, and they said that they were taking ivermectin." And we sit there and we had a conversation. And I explained to her, I said, the same people that wrote the textbook that taught you in school from the time you were in kindergarten until you graduated medical school, those textbooks were prepared by the same people that manage your doctor's office, manage my health insurance, manage the hospitals, and they also just happen to own big pharma. A well patient is not a return customer. And when you look at the cost of what it costs to treat somebody who has stage 2 lymphoma, I had a Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is one of the more or I say curable, one of the more reversible forms of cancer. Um, at that time, that's what I was told, and we're going to say at that time because my knowledge from 2008 to 2025 is a whole different world. I now realize that I lost my dad 10 years ago to glioblastoma. I now understand my dad had parasites in his brain, and those parasites had presented themselves for 2 years before. I mean, like physically manifested themselves on his skin. He would sit on his hospital bed. My dad had a bad back. He'd had a couple of back surgeries, so his back always bothered him. Well, he started complaining about his legs itching, like bugs were biting him. They didn't have indoor animals. But my dad was like, there's fleas in the carpet. Well, at one time I thought it was psychosis or neuropathy or something. I couldn't see anything. He would sit there and take 1 foot on his leg and just do this constantly. My dad would spray himself with Raid. He was an outdoor guy. He had a shop, was always into race cars, was always outside working on a hot rod. He would go out in that shop and literally take Raid bug spray and spray his skin with it because he thought something was getting on him, biting him. Well, I recently had a cousin who has Morgellons disease. Morgellon, I don't know
More
exactly what you call it.
gallons. Yeah, more gallons.
Well, my dad had Morgellons, and we didn't realize it at the time because he would sit there with a magnifying glass and tweezers and pull these things out of his skin, and they literally look like a hair, like a carpet fiber. I now understand that that was a particular parasite, and it's one of the very few that can cross the blood brain barrier and give you brain cancer, glioblastoma to be exact. My dad had his head drilled into twice, had radiation. He was diagnosed May 15th, and I lost him July 28th. It started out the when we really knew something. We didn't understand the itching and the pulling the things out of his skin. Um, the thing with his feet, I thought was neuropathy from all of the back problems he'd had. Went to the doctor. Went to the doctor. He started using the wrong word. He would be trying to say like, "Hand me the TV remote," and he would say, "Hand me the chainsaw." And like, "Hand me the keys." He'd say, "Hand me the dog." It's like he knew what he wanted to say, and it would frustrate him because he knew the wrong word come out. Just something wasn't connecting. Um, we went through all of this, and he literally died of salmonella poisoning. Is what killed him. We stopped at a restaurant. The girl had handled eggs and didn't wash her hands. And anyway, if I'd have known then what I know now, and for my ex father in law, who died of small cell lung cancer, probably could have saved both of them.
Yeah, I just lost, well, all of my uncles died of cancer. My father died of cancer 11 years ago. Very similar, except he got, what's the one that goes into the lymphatic system and ended up all in his brain, but it started out with his kidney. And my grandmother had breast cancer on that side, and my grandfather had lung cancer. And, it breaks my heart because it's very similar. My dad ended up being diagnosed, although I know he was dying before that. I knew that. He was in a lot of pain. Anyways, he ended up having to get a homeless voucher because he couldn't afford to go to the hospital, because he wasn't making much. He was kind of a hippie, he didn't really do a whole lot, but that's another story for another day. Anyways, 3 months later, after I had just experienced some horrific things, and he had just kind of been there to save me, it was like a month later he got diagnosed, and then 3 months later he was gone. And it was just a matter of, and it just, if I would have known then too, it could have saved me. He was only 55, you know.
I literally, if, and I know it's hard, everybody listening, if if you're listening to this, you're one of us, you're part of the family, so you're well aware how hard it is to have a conversation with a normie anymore. That's what I call them now, is normies, because they just look at you like you're not normal, and I really don't care,
Hmm.
which I've never really cared anyway. But anyway, I got a lifetime of not caring what other people thought about me. But when I try to have that conversation, if there's no other point that I can get across to somebody, it's the parasite. Like, listen, you're full of them. And I think the best way I have figured out how to explain it is that inside of your body, a cancer tumor is just like on the outside. If you have a cyst on your skin, your body will form a sac around it. And that's what the tumor is. That is your body capsulating the parasites inside of it. Well, you've heard of people going in to get a biopsy, and all of a sudden the cancer catches on fire and it spreads everywhere. Well, think about the concept that when they go in to take that sac out, they nick that sac, or it's not cauterized, or it's not sealed or closed, and those parasites get loose. Yeah, it's a blank stare, Georgia. They just look at you like, she's lost her mind. Honey, I'd have had to have one to lose it, baby cakes. That's what I tell them part time. But they get loose, and that's when cancer catches on fire. You now unleash those parasites into your bloodstream. Those parasites continue to lay eggs and multiply, and it catches on fire inside of your body, and that's how it ends up going from this body part to that body part to another body part. When I had mine, I didn't even have any idea I was sick, y'all. I was working 60 hours a week in a 4-inch pair of heels running a car dealership. Had been for years. Weren't slowing down. I got up every morning and ran a couple of miles at the gym and worked 12 hours a day and went home to 2 teenagers and a husband. I was too busy to be sick. I turned my head, and right there on the side of my neck, a golf ball stuck out one day. And my ex husband looked at me and he said, I think you need to go to Merck's and get that checked out. I said, what? Because I was standing there talking to him and I'd done this. And I went to the hospital that day, and to be sure, they told me right then and there, you got cancer. I was eat up with it. It was from my chin to my hip bones, my whole torso. There were some tumors inside of me that were as big around as oranges. They had actually moved my heart out of position. I didn't know it. I weren't even tired. Didn't feel bad. I'd started to lose weight. I'm like, yay, the gym's going in the right direction. Um, the ivermectin and fenbendazole thing that we've been on. I know it works. I know it's making me healthier because my blood work alone tells me that it's making me healthier. How have you felt since you've been taking it, Shannon?
Well, I mean, explain the other one because I know I've been taking ivermectin, but is it something that you do together?
You can do it together. There are a few parasites
That are
that I've
blood, right?
yeah.
So that,
Well, I've got a schedule. It's on my website. I'll send you a copy of the
yeah,
PDF.
yeah,
But it's like a 5-day regimen. On Monday you take ivermectin, and then it's been or whatever day. It's ivermectin, fenbendazole, and finish with ivermectin. So it's a 3 and 2 dose every other
okay.
day, and then you stop. You don't do it again for a month. I do mine around the full moon because parasites are just like anything else that recreates. It's based off of the moon. It's cyclical. They lay eggs, they hatch. There's more of them. So, like, I think the full moon is the ninth. I think this month. I start my regimen 2 days before the full moon. That way, the full moon falls like dead center of my cycle of my medicine. Now, on the PDF, I've got like the day before you take your first dose, I try to clean my system out. Like if you got something to help clean you or a bunch of coffee or whatever it is, clean your system out a little bit. But each day on it, it tells you what kind of food to eat. Like fiber, a fatty diet. Like if you got a day like you want to go to the Waffle House and eat the greasiest stuff they got, there's a particular day on that schedule you do it. And what it does is it binds to the waste. When you start on day one, by day three, you're gonna feel like you got hit by a bus. You felt it. You're gonna
Mm-mm.
feel kind of fluey,
Right.
depending on how many are in your system. You're gonna feel kind of fluey, gonna feel rough. Watch Woman of the Dragon. She said, "Yeah, the full moon's on the ninth." So you would start your cycle on the seventh this month of meds. It would be ivermectin on the seventh, fenbendazole on the eighth, and ivermectin again on the ninth. Then
Okay.
fenbendazole and back to ivermectin.
Okay.
Um, and I'm fixing to add that methyl blue to mine to see what it does. but that's not
Yeah.
an anti-parasitic.
I mean, just taking the one. I mean, I've lost weight. I don't have cravings for things as much unless it's more hormonal. Um, I truly feel like a whole new person. I'm not so depressed. I this whole last year, was sick so much. I was in bed, and I just kept getting more and more depressed, and then craving the worst things for me, and it was just this cycle of awful. And I started doing that and taking some organic supplements, things along those lines, and I actually have a good mood in the morning, which has never happened to me in my life. I'm not a morning person,
I'm not a morning person
and
either, Shannon.
I still am not like oh waking up like woo, good morning. But I wake up and I'm like okay, hey,
You're not
you
dreading
know,
getting out of bed
yeah,
anymore.
it's like all right,
The
and
lack of bloating is like, and you can tell when it's time for your cycle of meds
so
again. You start
great,
feeling that bloat build up,
yeah.
and then when the bloat goes away, you're like, "Oh, that is so amazing." The lack of bloat, like I
Hmm.
literally go down a pant size every time I do this cycle. It's amazing. Not now, don't get me wrong, the bloat comes back and I'm still in the same pant size a month later, but I can go to a different size of clothes after I go through a cycle of it. And that tells you how much of it is in your system. Just FYI, folks, day 3, 4, 5 through 7, don't turn around and look after you use the potty. It is disturbing. As we said before, don't look. You're tempted. Don't look. um, yeah, it can be bad, especially if you've never done it before and you're doing it for the first time. But yeah, the lack of bloating and the lack of hormone swing. But these things, when they're inside of you, it's just like a leech, and they're leaching, and they live off of sugar. All right, I don't know. Well, I had cancer. The first thing they tell you when you have cancer is lay off the sugar. Well, gee whiz, I wonder why. They want all them drugs they give you to work. The fenbendazole, Georgia, you can get that at a Tractor Supply, the same place you can get ivermectin. You can order it on Amazon. Um, it's there's a lot of places you can get it. Just research the company you're getting it from that's producing it. As with about anything else in the world we're buying now. Make sure you know who's making it. It's going to be to the point we're going to be eating dirt to survive at the rate we're going. I explained to a woman this morning that breakfast cereal was invented at an insane asylum to keep the teenagers from humping each other. That is not a joke. Post cereal. He made
Oh
this like
yeah.
he started baking this like wheat, it was cornflakes, but he was baking it in a sheet and breaking it up because most of the people that were coming into his asylum were having digestive issues, nervous stomach, and he gave them that. And he started realizing that all the teenagers they had in there stopped trying to hump each other because grains are sprayed with a chemical even back then to cause it to go ahead and bloom so they can harvest it. You can take that same chemical and put it in a swimming pool with frogs and it'll turn a boy into a girl in a heartbeat. They will actually grow ovaries and have babies. That is how serious the chemicals are in the breakfast cereal that you're eating. All the grains that we're eating, whether it be in bread or cereal or any of that, it is sprayed with chemicals that will turn a boy into a girl. So if you're wondering why we're having so much of this, little boys want to be girls and girls want to be boys and nobody's quite sure what they are, get them off the breakfast cereal. Get them off the Pop Tarts. Get them off the commercially purchased grain products. Um, uh, hang on, phone's going off. Uh, That's from the earlier group text about peace and safety, which I'm sure a show is coming on that before too long. Um, but yeah, the whole parasite thing. If you um Daniel's Miss Kim, she started taking it with Daniel. Kim has been a diabetic for many many years and fought her sugar because of her diabetes. Her diabetes have corrected themselves from taking an anti-parasitic concoction that cost $15 and they got it the feeding grain. Atrazine. There you go, Georgia. You know what it is. Yeah, it turned them bullfrogs into Bettys in a heartbeat, won't it? There's actually they call them super bullfrogs, or the ones that they actually tested. They put 400 of them, like in a swimming pool, with that atrazine chemical, which they spray all your grain with to get it to blossom, so they can go ahead and harvest. Um, and it turns them into females. Like 90% of the frogs in the tank turned into girls. Part of them grew ovaries and started having babies. So you can't tell me that ain't a humdinger of a chemical. Because do you know how back during the time of Queen Charlotte, and all these queens and kings and emperors back in the 1700s, you know what a pregnancy test consisted of?
Hmm.
Peeing on wheat. I didn't know this. They would take a bundle of wheat that had not blossomed and pee on it. The female would pee on it. If the wheat blossomed, she was pregnant. So now they sprayed that same. Oh, it cut my camera off. They sprayed the that grain with a chemical that turns boy frogs into girls. So we got to be careful with everything we eat, everything we ingest, and everything we put on our body. They got fluoride in the water. They got aluminum in your deodorant, which just happens to be
Yep.
made by the Reynolds family. If you
Ha,
haven't found out
ha.
who Nathan Reynolds is, you
Mm,
might want to go search him on YouTube. That's a
yep.
whole different category of disaster. Also, Reynolds Wrap that owns them, they also own most of your mortuaries nationwide.
Yeah.
They
And
have a big interest in crematoriums.
there's some other aspects that I won't get into because I grew up with part of the
Hmm.
Reynolds family. So that's another story for another day. But
Not good folks, by the way.
not good things. But
Not good.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
it's in.
very interesting bit of information, though historical information I
Yeah, the
wasn't
peeing
aware
on
of.
the wheat. I was
Yeah.
like, really? I saw it on. I have lately become completely infatuated with these shows, The Gilded Age, and what's the other one? Bridgerton.
Oh, yeah.
And
I have
I
friends
have
who are
become
into that one.
okay. I can't watch this new TV that's on. I can't relate to it, and half the people on it are pushing some rainbow agenda or transhuman agenda, and you got little boys running around dressed as little girls and on the TV show. I'm not watching it. I'm not giving you a dollar of my money. There's a lot of these services, TV services, you're not getting a dollar of my money, not a penny, not a dime, because I know what you are and I know where that money's going and what you're doing with it. And I don't want to be any part of it. And if you if you spend 14.99 a month in that service and that service is perpetuating up a line, it you're still funding the horror that's at the top of that line, regardless of how you think about it. You're still funding horror. And I actually, yeah, that blank stare look, I got it from somebody this morning. And it wasn't that she thought I was crazy. She's older, and I think the world of her. I'd do anything for her. I call her mom. She's one of my moms. I got many. But when I started telling her about some of the things that we talk about, I get this look from her, and she's like, You're not being serious. And I'm like, oh, yes, ma'am, I am. I'm being very serious, especially about where these poor children end up and where they go and what happens. But anyway, back to parasites. We got sidetracked. We
Right.
always get sidetracked, don't we, Shannon?
Yep, every time. That's okay. It's okay.
But I pulled up some numbers earlier because I was curious. I know how much my health insurance company has forked out for my cancer treatment since 2008. Would you like to take a rough guesstimate of what that was, Shannon?
No. I'm like, I have no clue.
2 million. Hmm. My health insurance between
Whoa.
my original diagnosis, the PET scans, the CAT scans, the chemo, which I ended up having to take two separate rounds of back to back. Ended up hospitalized 4 times because I like to died because my white blood count went so low. I was so sick during cancer treatment, my ex husband would have to tote me to the toilet. I lost 103 pounds in 30 days. I was a walking skeleton. I actually found a picture going through some old stuff the other day of me post treatment. I was about a month and a half, 2 months maybe. We decided to take kids to Dollywood because it had been a rough year on them. And I looked at myself, and you could literally see my complete bone structure through my shirt. Is how small I had gotten. Like my shoulder, the bones in my shoulder are literally poking through the little shirt that I had on. It's horrifying. My niece, who grew up a half a mile from where I grew up, because all of our family lived in the same neighborhood. I think she was 17, 18 years old. She got stage 4 lymphoma right after I did. Hers was stage 4. Hers wasn't Hodgkin's, but we both ended up taking the same chemo. The side effects of the chemo they gave us are lifelong. We will never not deal with them. Um, But the crazy thing is, my health insurance company now, because I have to go to the doctor every month, every third month I get blood work. A normal cancer case, when I looked it up this morning, it said in the USA, it takes $100,000 to treat simple cancer. That's a low estimate. The same cancer is treated in India for $20,000. Singapore, it was about 25,000, and Thailand was about 25,000. The UK runs right along with America. It's about 75,000. Um, and most of that's pharmaceuticals. It is pharmaceuticals. They don't test for parasites at the doctor. If they tested for parasites, there would be a lot less pharma that they could write a prescription for. So they're not going to test you. They're going to, doctors are not trained to cure you. They are trained to treat your symptoms by writing a prescription. The actual money that they make off of the drugs that they concoct. Hello, Daniel. I see him up there in the comments. Hey, Miss Kim, if she's watching, Aunt Kim, Aunt Kim. Um, but the money that they make off of the trademarks on these drugs, they're only supposed to be able to lock a drug up for 20 years with a patent. So now they've got where they changed and tweak one little thing in it and rename it and lock the patent down for another 15 years. They can't do anything with ivermectin, fenbendazole, rubbing alcohol, peroxide. When you go into the CVS or the Walgreens or Walmarts, wherever you get your stuff from, that very bottom shelf, the stuff on the very bottom that's like $3, nobody pays attention to it. The reason it's down there is because they can't make money off of it. There is a strategic marketing as to way things are laid out on a shelf. They put certain things on the second shelf so your kids see them. They put certain things on the third shelf so you see them. Most people do not look up and they do not look down. They look at what's right in front of them. which we've all understood now. This is what's wrong with the world. Everybody's looking straight ahead with blinders on. And if they don't have blinders on, they've got this blinder on in their face, like walking around with a bunch of zombies.
Yep.
Those zombies are buying the stuff that's on the eye level shelf, which is the high price stuff. Um, the stuff on the bottom shelf will do you more good, do you less harm. The actual rate of cancers has increased. I think skin cancer has increased 200% since they started pushing sunscreen. 200%. Let's see. I
Well,
had
and
a.
let's not forget the, you know, the other thing
Oh,
spurting
yeah.
on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that.
Sticky, sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Sticky, sticky. Well, of course, now my brain went blank.
Sorry. Oh, you
And
paused.
I
I
can't
don't
get
know
into my
what's
My
going on. Oh,
Documents folder for some reason. They're at about $100 billion increase in the medical cost for cancer over the next 10 years. They're expecting that rise in profits. I'm not talking about what it's going to cost us. I'm talking about what they're going to make off of it. So why in God's name would they give you something for $17 when they could charge you $2 million? There's a big difference there. They're not going to cure you. Because if I would have known then what I know now, I could have fixed myself for less than $500, and that's a year's worth of treatments. $500, and they billed my insurance company over $2 million.
that's crazy.
It's crazy to think about a PET scan. I don't know if anybody's ever out there has ever had a PET scan. PET scans are horrific and they're scary.
My
They
stepfather had one.
well, they put you in a chair and they don't want you to do anything because they don't want things in your brain to be active. They sit you in a chair and they come in, and the girl that comes in or guy has got one of those big old silver spaceman suits on with a little lunch box that looks like something my dad took to work in the 80s. And inside of it is a metallic syringe about it's probably big around as a quarter. And they put that in your IV. You just loaded that into my veins. You come in here in a space suit with a metal lunchbox, but you shot it in my vein. Honey, that weren't nothing. The chemo that come behind it once a week, every week, she still come in her space suit. The thing about chemo is it kills everything. It kills the good and the bad. And it leaves a residual of so much of the bad.
Yep. And the sad thing is most people who go through that still end up getting a resurgence of cancer, even though they've been cleared for it. Like my uncle literally had cancer 5 times, and the last time is what took him out. The
My
eldest one.
my niece right now, the one that had stage 4 and went through everything I went through, she's now struggling with mouth cancer. She had a little blister come up under her tongue. She takes them powders that she puts in her mouth. I ain't even gonna fuss at her about it no more. But to begin with, I honestly thought that's what it was. She had chemo before. It causes all kind of dental issues. She went to try to get her teeth fixed. The blister was up under there. She is now on Doctor 4 or 5, trying to explain to these people that she's 32. She feels so bad she can't get out of bed. Her back hurts. Her legs hurt. Her whole body hurts. She has a headache every day. She is so depressed she don't want to get out of bed some days just because she feels bad.
Yeah.
They literally told this 32-year-old girl, you need to go see a psychiatrist because you've got PTSD from your previous cancer treatment. Really? Really?
That just reminds me, my mom has Parkinson's, right? They misdiagnosed her for over 3 years. Just kept telling her it's anxiety. You have anxiety. And it's like by the time we even had it just had already gotten to the point to where she couldn't work anymore. If I could get my mother to take some of these things, maybe it could help. But she's a stubborn Italian woman, so I don't know about that. Love you, Mom,
Well, let me
if you ever
explain
see
to
this.
you. Please don't feel bad. I'm fixing to tell your daughter how to dose you. Um, Ivermectin from the farm supply store looks a whole lot like apple jelly. Just saying.
Yeah,
You sneak a little
I,
dosey
I
dose of that
can't,
in there and
I
some apple jelly.
can't.
Fix her up some, biscuits, some toast. She never know. Not gonna hurt her. If you will actually
No, I'm just
go,
kidding.
well, sorry, mom.
Hey,
Anyway,
Mom,
sorry,
I love
mom.
you.
Sorry, I told her that. My bad. But we're just trying to make it better. If you go, okay, farmers have been dosing their animals with ivermectin for many, many years. When all of this pandemic stuff rolled out, some years ago, that was one of the first things I was showed. He picked up a bottle because he was a farmer, Willie. He's like, look at there. Look what it treats on the back of the bottle. It clearly told you that C word was on there and that it treated it. They've been treating animals for that since the 50s or 60s.
Yep.
And which I got no sticky, ain't never getting no sticky.
And,
They gonna have to do this to give me a sticky is all I can tell you because
oh,
we're not doing that.
was gonna have to. I
Yep.
will. I will go to heaven first.
Yep, Imma take myself out before you get to do that because that's all you trying to do is take me out. Not happening. Um, Here we go. Cancer medicine spending rose to 196 billion globally in 2022. It is expected to reach, oh, it's sooner than I thought. My bad. It is expected to rise to $375 billion by 2027.
Well, considering they've got the whole Stargate program that they're trying to roll out and the wearables and all this stuff that you can, all that stuff that interlinks together so they can just create the code inside of you to make that medication already within you by the click of a button. That's terrifying. No, thank you. Like,
Mm-mm,
no,
no,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Oh, this lady's crazy. She's talking about Jesus. We're just gonna push a button, and she's just comatose. Nothing. No,
How many
no.
people have you seen in the past year or two be standing up there at a podium giving a speech and all of a sudden they just twitch out and fall down? People who have never had a seizure before, just all of a sudden when they start to bring some whistleblowing information, they just twitch and fall out. That didn't happen from stress. I mean, I'm up under considerable stress on a regular basis because people look at me like I'm loopy and I don't care. My eye twitches when I get stressed. I don't fall out and no, there's been too many of them. If and there are people that can stick magnets to where they got the sticker or
Yeah.
quarters and they stay. Mm-mm.
Some
No,
of
thank
the
you.
most intriguing evidence, aside from the whistleblower doctors who are finding stuff in blood samples and also the vials of the thing, right? But there are many, many morticians out there who have seen what grows inside of you and takes
Mm-hmm.
over your organs and your all your blood vessels and all of the pathways in your body. It's nothing like they've ever seen, but they keep seeing it now ever since that
Mm-mm.
pandemic hit. You tell me what's changed, right? And every single one of
Tell
those
me.
that the ones that have come out to talk about this have the evidence of it that they were indeed stuck. So that in itself, it's like you have some alien mutant stuff growing inside of you. And that's something I actually had visions of when I went through everything back in 2013, as I could literally see the networks of stuff growing inside of it was, and that's literally what's happening, and people are being taken out. It's just,
I saw one yesterday. It's kind of those things you see something and you don't have time to go dig in it, so you don't know the validity of the truth. But this supposedly was a 20-something-year-old female and had a chronic cough and felt like something was just blocking her airway. She had gone to the doctor, told him she felt like she had something inside of her. They done x-rays, they couldn't see anything. She was in the doctor's office and a coughing spell started and she could not stop. She coughed up what looked like the same thing that's coming out of people's arteries, but it looked like her lung. It literally looked like she had coughed up her lung, but it was like a second lining of it that had grown from this stuff and she had a sticker. Hmm.
that's like invasion of the body snatchers.
Have you ever seen that TV show, The Strain?
The string,
Strain.
the strain.
Strain.
I'm not sure.
This is probably 8, 9 years old. It was a show. It come on
Hmm.
for a couple of seasons. And uh it's a zombie disease. I can't say the V word because we know what that is, what it'll do for us. But it's one of those, and it's literally spread. And if you get it, you become a vampire, so to speak, kind of like a leviathan. And it literally grows like that. And every time I see these things that are inside of people, that's what it reminds me of. And we know good and well that they take stuff like that and put it in front of us to tell us what's going on. Because they got to put it out there in front of us and say, "Oh, we warned you. You just didn't pay no attention. Not my bad. Karma's off of me." If anybody don't know, if you worship that other thing, karma is their only factor, and they have to tell you what they're doing to you and put it in front of you and say, "Here it is. It's not my
That's
fault you
right.
didn't look at it."
Because they want what? Your silent consent.
Silent. Have you ever listened to the words to Hotel California by the Eagles?
Oh, yeah.
I listened to that this morning with a whole new perspective. I had assumed my whole life that was about addiction. And that is not. That is about signing that contract to sell it all away.
Yep. Yep. And, there is also, people have finally figured out and pointed out that in the cover photo, there is Anton LaVey and his seat. So up in like a balcony section, and that photo is really a photo of the Satanic Temple in
Mhm.
Hollywood. So,
To my understanding, that was actually taken when a lot of that signing happened. And
so
yeah,
you take that for what you will.
that I'm telling you, there's a lot of music I've listened to over my life, and I go back to it now, and I'm like, can't listen to that anymore. Can't listen to that anymore.
The backmasking is a real thing. It is a real thing. And you really want to know the intent of a lot of this mainstream music from way back. Think about the Beatles. There was a whole thing about that. But the backmasking, that's a real thing. You want to know the intent, listen to it backwards and you tell me what's really going in, because that's how they operate. They're up into the upside down, into doing it backwards. It's the antithesis of God. It
The
is the
mirror.
opposite. So, that being said, I'm getting Italian over here. My hands are flying. Sorry.
As you notice, mine are everywhere. Mine are always everywhere. Like you can see my hands coming before you hear this big old mouth I got, girl. And it's like if you had to tie my hands behind my back, I'd probably be mute. I'd probably just shut right up. Just mute. I don't think I've ever been quiet since 1977 ish. I've probably not shut up. Not gonna shut up either. Like I said, you're gonna have to take me out to shut me up. I was put here with a big mouth for a reason. It
Now,
is what it
I
is.
will say there are moments that I have come to find that being listening and being silent is helpful because I've never been good about that. But in the last several years, I've really been tested on that. And it's like, there's a time to shine and there's a time to listen. And it's like, all right,
Well, I
got
love to play some Texas Hold'em. I love to play
it.
poker, and I had to learn. It took me a while to learn to sit back and read the room. And if you pay attention to other people, a lie is a lie. I don't care how good of a poker player you are. A lie is a lie. There are micro expressions that will give your lie away every time. Best poker players in the world will tell you that's what they do. They read micro expressions. It took me a while to shut my mouth and learn to listen as much as I was talking. But now once I start talking about something I feel, you know, fully invested in, you can walk away or you can listen. I don't really care. I'm gonna say what I got to say. You can give me that normie twitch with the big eyes all you want. Keep looking at me. I mean, I'll get right in the middle of a restaurant and somebody will, they'll be looking at me. Keep looking, honey. Get your camera out. Film me. Take a picture. Maybe you'll go back and listen to it again tomorrow and it'll sink in. I'm not gonna be quiet. They
No.
do they do too much damage to this world that if some of us don't more of us don't start speaking out and trying to have conversations, which I reckon is all going to hell in a handbasket anyway, because there's too many people asleep. And the ones that might have woken up, I think that sticker has changed them because a lot of people have complained that it's their spouses have a totally different personality. We have a viewer, I can't remember which one of the ladies it is. She said her husband was just had a different personality. Like you can't talk to him now. And my camera's off, folks, because I'm not drinking and eating on camera. But
I'm just going back and forth. I'm looking at information. Don't mind me.
people's personalities have changed, and the people that might have woken up, some of them that got the sticker are just not. And somebody who is extremely near and dear to my heart that got a sticker when I tried to have a conversation with her. It's, about things like this, and especially about the stickies that they give little kids. They don't, it just doesn't seem to register because everything in the world they're doing is against us. They're dosing our food, they're dosing your water, then they're dosing you with meds, which they're making money off of. They're making money off of all of this. We are nothing more than their cattle on their cattle farm. And then they steal our kids and do what they do with them. So, waking other people up is the only option I know that we have, and that's all I can do. So, since I have been chosen to awaken people, I stand on top of the water tower and scream at the top of my lungs.
Scream at the top of my lungs.
I don't know how else to
Sorry.
wake people up. Get it, girl, get it, get it. But anybody who wants the cycle of how you're supposed to take this stuff and what you're supposed to eat, you can go to my website. It's going across the bottom of the screen, theroxypiles.com. If you go down toward on the homepage, go down toward the bottom and you'll see a little button that says download. It makes you have to go, once you hit download, you go up to the shopping cart and it's going to ask you for your name and address, but that's all it's going to ask you for. Um, or it might just be your name and email. I'm not sure. That's the bare minimum information I could ask for a download on the website. It wasn't me. If it was up to me, everybody could just click on it and look at it, but it makes me gather information. I'm not going to email you. You people listen to me 5 days a week. I think the last thing you want to see is an email from me.
I don't know. I enjoy them.
I'm not an
I mean,
email
most of
person.
them are links, but
Yeah, I'm not a big email person because I have so many other things going on during the day that I just don't have time. Like this morning, I was on Daniel's email. He only has 34,000 unread emails, and I'm trying to sort through them like what's
wow,
junk.
Daniel.
And then I just
I'm,
cleaned out
I'm not just
30,000 emails a couple of months ago, and now he's got 30,000 more. And and a lot of them are like links that viewers have sent to stuff, and you want to see it, and you hope you have time to go back and read it. And so I'm not gonna lie to you, Daniel. I read some of your email, and then I go back mark them as unread because they look really interesting. But yeah, I've just never been a big email person. But anybody who wants the how to do the meds or the ivermectin and the fenbendazole, it's on my homepage down at the bottom. Hit download, go up to shopping cart, fill out your information. You can download it. It's a little chart, tells you what day to take it, what to eat on that day. And that way, the things that you're supposed to eat are binders to help you push that stuff out of your system. So, the eating the diet on the particular day of the dose is very important because you got to get them out of you. Once you kill them, you got to flush them. And then the bloat goes away, and you get to go down a pant size for a few weeks. So, it's about time to dose again. But if you haven't looked at a colonoscopy with parasites, I'm not going to show that on here, but I would suggest you go Google that. Because if that don't convince you of what is inside of your body, nothing will. But these things, they cause everything from cancer to arthritis to inflammation to skin disorders, eczema, rosacea, boils, cyst. About 90% of all dis-ease is based off of parasites in one form or another. It comes from fruit, vegetables, undercooked meat, especially sushi. Sushi is horrible for it. Pork is really bad for it, which we really shouldn't be eating anyway. But I gotta say, I love me some bacon. Um, I probably ain't never gonna stop eating bacon unless somebody comes up with something that is tastes like bacon, but it's fake bacon. I don't eat but like three foods in the world, and it's bacon, potatoes, and cheese, and I normally eat them all together at once.
well, I was vegan for like 8 years. I do know some recipes with some natural things that are not, they're just, like mushrooms and things along those lines. If you ever want me to send you a recipe or two, I will.
No, Shannon, what you don't understand is the only things I eat are russet potatoes.
No, I know for the bacon that tastes like bacon, but
If
it's
it ain't
not.
bacon, it ain't bacon. I've tried the turkey bacon. It ain't bacon. Like I gotta know it's bacon. See, it's either all or nothing with me. I have been one of those. I am a grown woman who will order a hamburger only ketchup. Don't put no cheese on it. Don't put nothing on it. I want bread, meat, ketchup. Anything else is too much. I can't handle it. Now I did put bacon on a hamburger a while back and it was fantastic. But the last thing I need is something else I'm putting bacon on. I do like grits. Do you know what grits are, Shannon?
Yes, I do.
You eat grits over there in California?
Well, I've had grits, not
Had grits, you
in
don't eat grits.
California, but in a different state or two. Yes.
Girl, Imma send you a bag of grits. You need some grits in your life.
Oh, let's go.
We got to
Although,
get you a
if you remember Dan, that was one of the things. He was from Texas and he went to Tennessee. He was out there for quite some time and he just was like, now I don't mind me some bowl of grits every now and then, but I don't need it with every single meal. And he says everywhere in Tennessee, it's like you order a glass of water, here's a bowl of grits. You order a burrito, which apparently doesn't work out. Don't order burritos in Tennessee, apparently. This is all
no,
coming from a
I
Texan. And as a Californian, like, we know what Mexican food tastes like. I'm just saying.
See, I don't
Anyways.
eat. Well, the some of the healthiest people on the planet, if you look at them by their dietary of like what they eat and how they eat, it would be the Italians who drink wine with almost every meal
Italians.
and they eat tomatoes.
Yeah.
Well, then you've got the people that live in South America, spicy tomatoes with every meal. They do love a cerveza. Um, that's one of the reasons, as I've told you, I'm stuck on Bridgerton in the Gilded Age. One of the reasons back then that they drank so much alcohol is because they didn't have to worry about parasites and stuff in the alcohol. The alcohol would keep, nothing was going to attack it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't going to go bad. That's why they all drank wine and beer.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have refrigeration back then. You couldn't put milk up from a cow.
Right. Well, fermented foods and fermented drinks that are even not necessarily alcoholic, too, like all of those things are really good for your body. It promotes good bacteria, and a lot of issues, especially in the mental health department, and certain disabilities that have come and been onset over the years, have a lot to do with your gut and the way your gut interacts with your brain, because they found that there are actual sensors in your stomach that go directly into your brain. It's a symbiotic thing, and a lot of the times, if your gut biome is off and you've had all of these toxins pumped into you through foods, through jabs, through all kinds of different things in your life, your gut biome is not going to work properly, and therefore your brain is not going to work properly. And on that note, too, people, I was a kid from the 80s and 90s, and you went from the 80s that still had a little bit. I mean, they were really starting to put preservatives in food a lot more back in, like, the late 70s and into the 80s. But then the 90s, the whole thing about the reduced fat, the light, the fat free, all of those things that they've shoved down women, especially their throats, of trying to lose weight but still eating your Twinkie. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff my mom would, love you again, mom, if you're watching, that my mom would get, and I could never eat it. It just was like funky
Fake.
and weird. But the less, like, your brain needs fat, it needs it needs cholesterol. There's a certain type of cholesterol that they've been
Yeah,
trying to
your
ban out of
brain
our
is
diet.
made of yeah, your brain is made
So
of cholesterol.
the less we, like, the certain fats that we've been given, that's based off of sugar and carbohydrates, that's the kind that ends up giving you the bad cholesterol. The thing they call bad cholesterol is what actually feeds your brain and certain other aspects, and, like, no wonder people can't
Do
function
you
and
have
things.
any do you have any idea where the actual they have a cholesterol number that you're supposed to be aiming for. Do you know how that number came about? This was the craziest thing I read
Mm.
because they had me on some of them statin drugs. After I had cancer, I turned around and had a heart attack, like at 30, at 40, early 40s. Just Christmas Day, wasn't feeling good. Went to work, come home, took a nap, and woke up and was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. I invited my daughter. I'm like, bring the grandkids over. Let's open these gifts. I've spent a lot of money. They're going to open these gifts before I die of a massive heart attack today. We literally open gifts, and I'm like, okay, I'll go to the emergency room now. They medevac me. Heart attack, needed a stent. I didn't have time for a heart attack. I had to do Christmas for my grandbabies. If I was going to die, I was going to see them open those presents. I spent a lot of time decorating, by the way. But
Mm.
cholesterol. The number for cholesterol, there is no scientific or medical reasoning behind that number. They took 1,000 people. Didn't matter if they weighed 80 pounds or 700 pounds. They took 1,000 people and averaged it. Took into account no health factors, whether they're healthy or sick or whatever. 1,000 people and average that number out, and that's the cholesterol number you're shooting for. But as with everything else, everything you need is in nature. And that's what I'm working on like right now, the
Mm.
apothecary side of healing all of us without having to do anything with big pharma. Because with Willie being a farmer, we've started having conversations about they would come to them when they were farming and they'd be like, "Oh, if you see this weed or this plant, the USDA would be like, let us know because there's a particular type of worm or something on it and it'll damage your crops. We need to spray it and kill it." One of them is a thing called pigweed. And here in the South, for the past few years, they've been trying to get rid of the Bradford pear tree. Just happened so the bark of the I got you, Shannon. The Bradford pear tree, if you take the bark off and steep it in water, it's a non-addictive pain medicine.
Oh, yep.
The mimosa tree, if you take the mimosa tree, dig it up, take the root, steep it in water,
Yeah.
DMT.
Mm. I know too, like aspirin or Tylenol type, aspirin, willow bark,
Yep.
the willow bark. Yep.
But that's what I'm working on. I'm working on putting a complete list for us together of everything you can go in the woods behind your house and steep it in a little bit of water. Willie currently has a concoction going with the pit out of an avocado and rubbing alcohol.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That looks.
He's
I want to try that because
he's got 3 jars.
Lord
I'll let you know.
knows.
Oh, I know,
Yeah,
girl.
Lord
I know.
knows. So
Um, yep. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna get off of here. Shannon's got to go, and I got to go over there and check on them grandbabies, make sure they haven't, caused any damage.
that there are no fires set in the house.
No fires. They're not. One's on an Xbox and one's on an iPad,
Oh yeah.
buzzed out. You
Yep.
you about got to like break it from them to get them off of these things.
It's so sad. But
Hmm.
yes, yes. All right. Well, love you all. Thanks for having me on your show, Roxy.
Thank you for
The
joining
Roxy
us, Shannon.
Files.
Yeah.
Hey guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the
Oh
Roxy
yeah,
Files.
that's important. We forgot that. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, give us a shout out. We'll be on tomorrow. Are you gonna be on tomorrow with Daniel?
I hope so.
Yeah, because we missed Monday. We worked on
Um,
we didn't show Monday because we worked on like tech issues all afternoon, but he's about got his down. His is much more complicated than mine. Mine's like click and go, and his is much more complicated. And I told him, I said, once you get it, then you can teach me. I'll
yeah.
use the easy stuff to begin with. I don't have as many options, but I can click and go. We had no audio issues, but we don't have all the fancy stuff he has either.
No,
Okay,
it's
guys,
good.
thank you for joining us. Wake
Bye.
somebody up. Don't worry about how the normies look at you. Let them look at you like that and just smile and go, bless your heart, and walk away.
Bless your heart,
Bless your
dear.
heart,
Bless
darling.
your heart.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. All right. Love you guys. Love you, Shannon. We'll all
Love
talk
you too,
tomorrow.
Roxy. Bye.